Hello fellow gamers, I'm Christopher Chrisman of Retro Game Network, and coming up next, a look at last week's retro video game news on the RGN files for the week ending Saturday, August 31, 2019. In the RGN files this week, Disney has officially announced an upcoming compilation that will bring a collection of 16-bit Disney-based video games to modern consoles and computers. It had been previously rumored that the company was working on porting some retro video games to current platforms, and the recent announcement of Disney classic games, Aladdin and the Lion King, confirms these said rumors. The compilation is being developed by Digital Eclipse, who are no strangers to video games and the Disney library. Previously, they had worked on the Mega Man Legacy Collection, as well as the Disney Afternoon Collection. The upcoming title will include a variety of versions of the games from the 16-bit gaming era, including the Genesis and Game Boy versions of both Aladdin and the Lion King, and the Super NES version of the Lion King as well. In addition, Aladdin also gets 2 additional versions in the form of a trade show demonstration and is what is being called a final cut. Absent from the collection include the Game Gear versions, as well as the Super Nintendo version of Aladdin, which is most likely due to Capcom's involvement with the game. The Game Boy versions of the games will also include a Super Game Boy option as well. Alongside of upscale graphics, buyers will also get an interactive game viewer, which will allow you to view a pre-recorded gameplay and then jump into the game at any time. A rewind feature will also be implemented alongside of an art gallery, music player, and an explorable museum of behind-the-scenes development assets. Disney Classic Games Aladdin and the Lion King is scheduled for release on October 29th of this year and will be made available for the PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PCs via Steam. All editions will sell for just under $30, and while digital versions will be made available, it has also been confirmed that physical editions for all of the previously mentioned console-based platforms will be coming to stores at a future date. A new homebrew port of the original title in the Diablo series is currently being developed for the Commodore Amiga computer platform. When the first game was originally released initially, it was offered for Windows-based machines, with Macintosh and Sony PlayStation ports being made available shortly thereafter. Diablo, which was first released on New Year's Eve back in 1996, is an action role-playing hack-and-slash game where you obtain items, learn spells, defeat enemies, and interact with non-player characters. In the case of this new homebrew port, the process is being accomplished by Daniel Musner, aka Daytona, as well as a man named Marlin from the Amiga development forums. Together, they are known collaboratively as the Vampire Team. The group is presently working on bringing the classic game to a wide variety of different Commodore Amiga models that were made available at various eras during the long-running machine's architecture. The team is looking to make the game playable on both lower and higher-end models, including the classic Amiga systems of the 68000 and Warp OS variety, as well as next-generation Amiga NG systems that use such architectures as the Amiga OS4, Morph OS, and Eros. The 68K port is being developed with assistance by Arthur Chirosic, while the PowerPC ports have additional support from Roman, aka Castle, on the Amiga Dev forums. The game is based on the Devolution X open source engine, and the current build has working dungeons. This upcoming port is extremely in the early development stages. However, those behind the project at the Vampire Team have recently uploaded a YouTube video showing off the work in progress on actual Amiga hardware. There's currently no estimated time of completion of the Diablo port at this time, and there is also no word about when the game will be distributed upon completion. We will keep everybody up to date as additional details on this new homebrew become available. During the history of playing video games, players have thought of ideas that could make a system even better, especially after their original lifespan is over. One designer from Sweden made his ideas a reality recently by creating an all-in-one model Nintendo Famicom. Borrowing from retro computers of the 70s and 80s, such as the Commodore PET and early Apple Macintosh, alongside the Vectrex video game console, the design includes a built-in video display. Created by Love Holton, the system, which is known as the FC PVM, gets its name as a combination of both Famicom and PVM 9042QM, the model of display that was actually used. It incorporates a 9-inch Sony Trinitron display. Other additions to the creation include modifying the original Famicom controllers, making them wireless, doing away with the short hardwired controls that were originally included with the system. There is a space dedicated to storing the controllers when they are not in use, which is hidden by means of a removable panel. There is also an area to store a total of 8 original Nintendo Famicom cartridges on the top of the item as well. The console's main power and reset buttons are actually a pair of keyboard-style switches that have been topped off with red keycaps. This helps keep the system looking like it's an official Nintendo Famicom product and not a homemade creation. The final design, which copies the colors of the original Famicom, was designed to look like a prototype design for an unreleased model of the system, almost looking like a retro computer terminal of the era. Keeping these ideas in mind, creating such a design actually makes sense. Japanese Famicom users may remember that back in 1984, Nintendo sold an optional keyboard attachment for the Famicom, alongside of a version of the basic programming language. While Holton occasionally takes orders for items that he's created over the years, at this time the FC-PDM is currently a one-of-a-kind device and is not available for sale. Last week, a fan-made mobile application had been released that brings gamers a modern version of the Shenmue Passport on mobile devices. Shenmue Passport was included with the original 1999 Sega Dreamcast version of the game as an included fourth disc that offered a variety of special features. Some of these said features include allowing you to watch cutscenes, listen to music, and at the time connect to an online computer network that permitted you to view statistics for your game and even obtain rare items for the game itself. Renamed Suka Pass, it was changed from the original name due to it being an independent release. Instead of actually being a direct port, it has been rebuilt from the ground up, staying faithful to the original look and feel, but features the modern convenience of supporting current-day touchscreen devices. Version 1.0 of the project offers all 7 of the original information character videos, all 40 of the original trailers and cutscenes, and a music player that includes all 32 of the original musical tracks, alongside of 43 additional bonus tracks. You also get all 337 Shenmue character profiles, which includes over 1,000 voices. You also get Suka Pass application statistics, Nozomi's messages, as well as the community and about sections. According to those behind the project, quote, Suka Pass is a completely fan-made application that was created for preservation purposes only. We wanted to make sure that the Shenmue Passport features, especially the online content, was not lost forever due to the sands of time. Suka Pass is not intended for profit or monetary gain. All rights and content for the original Shenmue Passport are owned by Sega Games. Suka Pass is not in any way affiliated with or endorsed by Sega, end quote. Suka Pass is available for both Android and iOS devices at no cost. However, Apple users will need to install the program via the Test Flight application. And finally, this week, back in 1992, a port of the game Another World, which had been released the prior year, was released for the Apple II GS. However, this version was not compatible with the original series of Apple II machines. A new homebrew port is currently in the works that will take the classic game to the 8-bit Apple II line for the very first time. Another World, also known as Out of This World in North America and Outer World in Japan, was originally developed for the Commodore Amiga and Atari ST back in 1991. The new port comes to us from Dieter of VMW Software, who created the project using a 6502 assembler from scratch and only using the original Apple II GS release as a reference point. The primary issues that come with downgrading a game from the 2GS to a standard Apple II involve the graphical resolutions alongside of the amount of available RAM, in attempts to make the game compatible with all Apple II models. The new game uses the low-resolution graphics mode of the original Apple II, which brings to the table a resolution of only 40 by 48. The 8-bit port of the game is currently a work in progress, and as such there are still some pieces that need to be implemented into the source code, and there are also some known bugs in the code at this time. The most current beta of the game, version 2.7, is available to download as a free disk image that can be used on your favorite Apple II emulator. The image can also be made into actual physical floppy disks using a program such as ADT Pro. To run the game on actual hardware, you can use any model Apple II, having been tested successfully on the 2, 2 Plus, and 2E models. You need a system with 48K of RAM, and in order to hear the music during the end credits, you will need a Mockingbird card in slot number 4. There is no word on when the game would be 100% completed, and also no word on if free distribution would still be offered when the game is finalized. That's it for this week's edition of the RGN Files. This is a reminder that our official radio program, VGM on FM, returns to the WRML airwaves on Monday, September 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the upcoming Fall 2019 season. For complete details of any of this week's stories, visit RetroGameNetwork.com. And don't forget to check us out on social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Retro Game Network, and on Twitter and Twitch at RetroGameNet. For the RGN Files, I'm Christopher Christman. This week's news story is provided by the following: Hack a Day, IGN, Indie Retro News, Kotaku Australia, Megavision's Nintendo Life.